Today, my good morning, sir, ma'am. Today, my topic is on ectopic ureter, ureterocele, and duplication. Uh, so, ureteric duplication is the most congenital renal abnormality seen. So, it is found in 1% of population, and 10% of the children diagnosed with UTS with have ureteric duplication. So, it contains incomplete and complete duplication. Incomplete duplication is one of the common ureters enters the bladder, and clinically they don't present with UTS everything. So, complete ureteric duplication, two ureters laterally enter the bladder. One in the normal trigone area, one will be the ectopic ureter, or in the away from the normal trigonic of the bladder. So, propensity of UVR into the lower pole and obstruction in the upper pole will occur in complete duplication of the ureter. So, upper pole ureter may be ectopic in its insertion into the bladder or may be end in a ureterocele. So, ectopic ureter ureterocele will be having a same common management, same common anatomy. So, probably we should deal in with ectopic ureter and ureterocele will be having the same common. So, both conditions are common in duplicated collecting systems and may also be seen in single systems, which will be having the hypoplastic bladder if they are present and if duplication is present in a single system. So the Wiegand Maitland law says there is, I'll be explaining in detail later, but Wiegand Maitland law says that in complete duplication ureter, the upper pole ureter enters into the caudal and medial to the distal to the upper ureteric orifice. The lower moiety ureter opens in cranial and lateral to the trigone of the bladder. So the next definition is ectopic ureter. Ectopic ureter is nothing but any ureter, single or duplex, that does not enter trigonal area of the bladder. So in a duplex system, inevitably upper pole ureter, because of its budding from the mesonephric duct later than the lower pole, with later incorporation into the developing ureteral genitus, upper pole ureter enter into the ectopic ureter in duplex system. So it presents with either reflexing or it was obstructive ectopic ureter. In females, the entry anywhere from the bladder neck to the perineum and into the vagina, uterus, and even rectum occurs in the females. So they present with incontinence. So it is associated with dilated Gardner duct cyst, where it is nothing but Wolffian duct remnant from which ureter buds. It leads to the rupture of the Gardner duct cyst and vaginal communication occurs and incontinence occurs. In males, entry always above the external sphincter or pelvic floor, usually into the Wolffian structures, vas deferens, seminal vesicles, and or ejaculatory duct. So so the males doesn't have any incontinence at presentation. So that they present with infection and pain of affected organs like testicles and epidermis will be there, presenting with duplication of ureter. Sorry, ectopic ureters. So the same mention I'm mentioning the site of the ectopic ureter. We can see they arise from the uterus, vagina, and the rectum. In males, they open into the rectum, seminal vesicles, vas deferens, and ejaculatory ducts. So this is retrograde injection into the duplex ureter of a boy with is abdominal pain and ureterocele associated with hypoplastic right kidney. So the intravesical ureter you can see here is being injected and demonstrates communication with the right seminal vesicle. The arrowhead here we can see, and vas deferens and small arrows we can see, and leading to the dysplastic upper ureter is seen, where dysplastic kidney. So kidney cannot be seen clearly. So because of dysplastic kidney, and so in this but follow up, we have seen that surgical lesion, the ureter and vas joined just above the seminal vesicles, where the ectopic ureter is seen. So single system ectopic ureters and uterus are seen. Apparently absent kidney on ultrasound will be seen. So there will be small poorly functioning renal unit and CT urogram or MR urogram. So rarely, if single system ectopic ureters are seen bilaterally, they are associated with hypoplastic bladder and bilateral renal abnormalities or dysplasia will be seen because of apparent bladder agencies because of the ectopic ureter. And bladder development won't be that good, and they will have bilateral renal abnormalities and dysplasia. So next, coming to the ureterocele, it's nothing but cystic dilatation of the terminal intravesical ureter. So it can be intravesical or extravesical ureter. So intravesical ureterocele is entirely contained within the bladder in a prolapse into ureter during voiding or present with obstruction. So ectopic ureterocele, if any position is permanently situated at bladder neck or urethra, regardless of the position of the orifice, they can be present in the bladder neck or urethra. So they do not form entirely within the urethra, nor do they attach to the Wolffian duct structures in a ureterocele. So they present a single or duplex system, and duplex system invariably affects the upper pole of the kidney. So classification of ureterosil. In 1971, Stephens described ureterosils in intravesical, extravesical. Intravesical is stenotic is 40%, non-obstructive is 5%. Extravesical most common is sphincteric is 40%, sphincterostenotic is 5%, pseudo-uterosil 5%, and blind ending is 5%. So stenotic, they present narrow orifice within the bladder. Sphincteric is wide orifice within the internal sphincter. Sphincterostenotic is narrow orifice within the internal sphincter. And pseudo-uterosil, they present with blind endings, uterosil extending down the urethra. So this is a diagram representation of the intravesical ureter with stenotic orifice just proximal to the bladder neck. And this is another sphincterostenotic ectopic uterosil. We can see here. And the B is a pseudo-uterosil. So extend distal to the orifice as long as tongue beneath the ureteral submucosa. Normally, the orifice communicates with the lumen of the bladder and is large and incompetent. The present with the obstruction ureter. So one more classification of uterosil is a Churchill functional classification system. It is based on the impact of uterosil in upper urinary tract, including all the renal units. So here only upper pole is affected. Entire ipsilateral kidney is involved if it is involved in one kidney. And contralateral system is also at risk due to reflux or bilateral bladder outer obstruction because of the uterosil. Sir, when you come to the pathophysiology and embryology of this duplex ureter, normally the uteral blood branch from the mesonephric or Wolffian duct. So the Wolffian duct, it's a nephritic duct. So from that we will get the ureteric blood. Ureteric blood extends into the nephrogenic blastema. From the nephrogenic blastema at the distal it forms the metanephric blastema. So formation of the entire renal contact system from the distal end. To the proximal end. But distal to the ureteric bud, mesonephric duct incorporates into urogenital sinus, which is anterior to the urogenital septum. So normally urogenital cloaca is divided into anterior urogenital septum and posterior anorectal septum, which is separated by this urorectal septum. So ureteric orifice superlaterally moves to the normal position on the trigone because distal to the ureteric bud. So distal segment of the mesonephric duct is carried inframedially, incorporated into the bladder neck. So, and the ureteric bud in male fetus, after formation of the ureter, later it develops into seminal vesicle, vas deferens, and epididymis. In females, it forms a Gardner's duct between the vagina and the urethra. So, as I mentioned earlier, in ureter duplication, complete ureter duplication, two ureteric buds are needed to arise from the mesonephric duct. So, lower, easier insertion to earlier insertion into the urogenital sinus, and it is superolateral location of orifice, and it is present with poor trogonal support and short intramural tunnel, and predisposing to the VUR of the lower ureter moiety. So upper ureter moiety, it inserts later and low on the trigone inframedially. It inserts extraumbilical bladder neck or ejaculated duct or seminal vas deferens in males, and Goddard duct is leading to incontinence, as I mentioned previously. It's the Wiegert-Mayer law, it's where it is seen in incomplete duplex system. So, in ureteral ectopia, without duplication, it results from delayed incorporation of distal ureter into the developing bladder. When we come to the uterine development, two theories are mentioned in uterus development. It is nothing but the failure of Schwellham membrane to break down at the distal ureter during development and results in obstruction sacral dilatation of the distal ureter. And another theory is aberrant signaling from the expanding ureterogenital sinus resulting in dilatation of the distal ureter. Sir, when you come to the epidemiology of this ectopic ureter uterosil and this one, incidence of uteral duplication is 1%. So it is found in autopsy series. Ureterocele is 1 per 5,000 to 12,000 population. 10% are bilateral, 60 to 80% are ectopic, 80% in ectopic, and 80% associated with upper pole ureter of a duplex system. So single system uterocele are commonly associated with cardiac and genital anomalies. It's more commonly seen in females, more common in whites. So how do you proceed with this ureterocele, ectopic ureter and duplication? So prenatal image dissection can be done. So majority of the ectopic ureters and uterocele detected on the prenatal ultrasound can be detected even if no specific diagnosis is present. So duplex system prenatal diagnosis difficult, but except in dilated upper moiety where we can see clearly if it is present prenatally. So they present also with upper pole cyst in the fetus with upper pole hydronephrosis. Until proven otherwise, we should think it as duplex kidney. So bladder inspection to identify the uterocele in all cases. So wait for the bladder filling during the scan. So character of the upper pole parenchyma in duplex kidney will be thickened and echogenicity will be increased in ultrasound. So Normally, a large ectopic ureter may impinge on the bladder and appear as intravesical ureter. The presenting as pseudo-ureterosil, we should rule out. So we should look for the careful evaluation of renal units in the bladder in scanning. So ipsilateral lower pole or contralateral dilatation suggests reflex or less common obstruction from ureterosil or dilated ectopic ureter is seen in this one in ultrasound. So bladder outer obstruction by ureterosil can manifest as hydronephrosis of the renal units or upper tracts, we can see. So they present with oligoautonomia. They normally we can rarely seen is oligoautonomia. Contralateral renal dysplasia is very rarely seen in duplex kidneys or ectopic ureters. So prenatal intervention or early delivery has no benefit in if you see any duplex or in the ectopic ureter seen. So the clinical presentation, normally they present incidentally with significant hydronephrosis with ectopic ureter or ureterosil because during evaluation for cause of general abdominal pain or when we think that presumed ovarian cyst may be markedly when we should when the ovarian cysts are present in the females, which is most common, they present with dilated ureters and we should evaluate for other incidental diagnosis as ureterosil. So one other common presentation is infection. UTI is the first few months supply. It's the most common presentation. They present with generalized urosepsis because of obstructive septum infected. So they present with ongoing low grade fever with periodic spikes. Purulent discharge from the perineum will present if they present ectopic ureter. And the males presented with epidermis orchitis with recurrent episodes. Where the kids they present with recurrent epidermis orchitis, we need to rule out the ectopic kidney or ectopic ureters presentation. So next, the incontinence, the caused by ectopic ureter in girl, but never in boys. The persistent low volume dampness at all the time. They can't remain dry even for 30 to 60 minutes. So diagnosis is very difficult to before toilet training in children. So in rarely patients with they present with intermittent leakage through a Gardner duct membrane, which can be seen. So untreated aerosols not associated with incontinence. Sometimes you can see present. One more common presentation is pain. They present with acute infection, episodic obstruction of ectopic ureter or bladder pain cause obstructing ureterosil leading to abdominal pain. So prolapse. So ureterosil prolapse unusual but smooth congested mucosa covered interlabial mass protruding from the urethra, non-circumferential and non-lobulated. So we should differentiate it from other causes of prolapse of in neonates we commonly we see sucoureterosil. We should be differentiated from other ectopic mass from the vagina like sarcoma botrytis and other conditions. So late presentation of the ectopic ureter ureterosil is commonly the infection, abdominal flank pain, incontinence, and stone in the ureterosil, where chronic obstruction is seen and they present with stone in the ureterosil. So prolapsed ureterosil presented in an interlabial mass in a 3-week old. It is nothing but a sucoureterosil. Looking at mass per vaginum, we should differentiate other causes, and it normally it will be present as smooth, soft swelling. So evaluation, physical examination, and investigation. So physical examination, it normally facilitates the diagnosis. Prolapsed ureterosil can be seen. Ectopic perineal ureterocolitis can be seen in a child with continuous dampness. Dilated Gardner cyst rarely we can see, unless you can see with ectopic and means cystoscopic finding. Palpable dilated upper pole of the ectopic ureter ureterosil in a relaxed infant can be palpated per physical examination. So this is a perineal ureteric orifice. In the first diagram, we can see cannulate with the angiocatheter situated between the urethral orifice and the vagina, just left to the midline. Here we can see the Gardner duct cyst. You can see at the arrow. Gardner duct cyst in newborn with left multicystic dysplastic kidney. So infection of the cyst communicated with the ureter and dysplastic kidney. So so this is the Gardner duct cyst in the second picture where we can see there is ectopic ureter. So next is the investigations we go. It is the ultrasound. Typical findings we can see is dilated upper pole with ureteral dilatation and dilated single system will be present. So bladder images differentiate ureterosil from the ectopic ureter. So the images I will show. It presents as thin wall cystic dilatation within the bladder, not extending beyond its wall. So here I will show you that ultrasound image of dilated upper pole associated with the ureterosil. You can see small ureterosil is the upper pole, demonstrating limited renal parenchyma where renal parenchyma is completely absent in the upper pole. One more second image you can see here, ultrasound demonstrating dilated upper pole and lower pole with the ureterosil here. So the upper pole has evident renal parenchyma with minimal parenchyma. The lower pole is dilated because of the compression of the dilated upper pole ureter on the lower pole system, creating a partial obstruction. So this is The intravesical erythrocyte, you can see here, this picture, bladder, it contains the intravesical erythrocyte. So here the ectopic ureter, you can see the bladder and the ectopic ureter, we should differentiate both so that we can, treatment will be different. Ultrasound image of the bladder in a child with ectopic ureter extending into the bladder. The wall of the ureter is thicker than the urethrocoel and the lumen of the ureter extends well outside the bladder lumen. You can see the image. And the widening MCUG of the large ectopic ureter is pushing backward in the bladder and appearing as a filling defect. So we should, while doing the MCUG, we may confuse it with the urethrocoel, but it's nothing but the ectopic ureter, or it could be subarachnoid because of the filling defect seen posteriorly to the bladder. So next is the MRI. So it provides most digital imaging. Currently reserved for patients with distorted complex anatomy where it is difficult to sign the anatomy. So it contains it advantage other than this is functional information can be done. So here is the images of MRI images where we can see the complex anatomy of a child with an ectopic ureter associated with a right dysplastic cystic kidney draining into the obstructed hemivagina, producing urinary dilatation of the right hemiureters. So we can see the anatomy clearly. We can see the dilated ureter. Lower pole is, we can see upper pole is grossly dilated, upper pole, and the bladder you can see clearly, and the vagina is dilated, where is the ectopic ureter entering into the vagina and causing the dilatation of the uterus. So next is renal functioning. Gold standard is dimercaprotasuccinic acid, where we can know the upper pole function kidney. If its function is good, we can go for primary surgery. If it is non-functioning with recurrent uterine hypertension, child needs nephrectomy. So primary role of DM is functioning of the upper pole and know the status of the other moieties and lower pole reflex of hydronephrosis of any unit present during to assess. And to assess the dynamic function of urethrocoel, if it is obstructed, we need to do a diuretic renal scan. The intravenous urography, it's normally done in kids, but it gives a functional assessment only, it's qualitative. Urethrocoel is just present as Kober-Heiter spring onion configuration at the bladder level. The DMS scan, you can see the left side, the upper pole moiety is not seen, that is left upper pole kidney is non-functioning, and the right kidney is normal, but in left kidney you can see there is a little uptake, you can see upper pole, where the parenchyma is thinned out, means delayed film, it's not functioning properly. For urethrocoel, an ultrasound image urethrocoel can be seen intravesically, as I mentioned. The image, okay. So MCUG, the most definitive test for bladder or distal uterus or urethra. So obligated to define the baseline situation before any intervention, MCUG is a must. So unless until it's emergency where present with bladder outer obstruction, urosepsis and bladder obstruction, we can directly go for surgery or uterine incision or for any surgery. But in duplicated collecting system, its lower pole reflex, non-reflexing upper pole give appearance of drooping sign is seen in the lower pole moiety. Upper pole moiety where function is not seen and there is an obstruction in the lower pole moiety. So VCG of child with the urethrocoel, evidence of prolapse of the urethrocoel into the bladder neck with voiding. This is distincting from a subarachnoid where the subarachnoid also presents along with the urethra. So one more thing is the subarachnoid, you can see, is attached to the urethra and the lumen extending into the urethra causing the obstruction. So in ectopic ureters, reflex of the ipsilateral lower pole is 50%, contralateral reflex is 25% of cases is seen, and reflex into the urethrocoel is in 10% of cases. In an ectopic ureter, ipsilateral lower pole reflex is unlikely to resolve spontaneously even after surgery. So then when coming to cystoscopy, that is endoscopic evaluation, and we need to go for assess the character of the urethra, bladder neck, and trigone relative to the urethrocoel of the ectopic ureter. So when we go inside the urethra, we will look for ureteral orifices should be documented, and urethra is examined carefully. If orifice is not found in the bladder, so it can be in the posterior urethra. So appearance of urethral vary with the bladder filling. So start with little filling and slowly increase the bladder volume. And lowest portion best size for in uh, retrograde contrast can confirm urethral disproportion and unusual connections to genital ducts can be seen. Uretral disproportion is nothing but urethrocoel is present, but the urethra is not dilated and the upper tracts will be normal. So this is the cystoscopic view finding. Image of an intravesical urethrocoel just inside the bladder neck. So this is a cystoscopic view of bladder neck and ectopic ureteric orifice marked by the arrow. So you can see here, and the bladder neck ectopic ureteric orifice in the posterior urethra. it is often patternless, but it does not reflexing. So when we come to the management, what are the clinical management, surgical management, and observational management? So before intervention, we should get maximum information about patient's altered anatomy, physiology, history. So there is no particular criteria to set how much upper pole renal function is not preserving. So depending on the surgeon status and DMSS scan, we can go ahead with surgery. So what are the management goals when you go for the surgical? This preservation of renal function, elimination of infection, obstruction, and reflux, maintenance of urinary incontinence, minimizing surgical morbidity. So we go with acute decompression. So what are the indications for acute decompression of ureterocele? Is indications are ureterocele producing bladder outer obstruction, severe bilateral upper tract obstruction. The child is having severe urosepsis and sepsis is not responding to appropriate therapy. So methods where ureterocele is transurethral incision, and with ectopic ureters, endoretrostomy near the bladder. What is the definite surgical procedure for ectopic ureter and uterocele is common sheath reimplantation for the ectopic ureter or uterotrostomy, and low or distal or high proximal near the renal pelvis endoretrostomy we can do. Ureterocele, we go for transurethral incision, ureterocele excision, and common sheath reimplantation or uterotrostomy can be done. Child is in sepsis, for uterocele in definitive management. So observational management is done if in carefully selected and non-parental education patients, if there is no obstruction of ipsilateral lower pole or contralateral kidney, limited reflux to the lower pole if it is grade 3 or less, and no function of the upper pole, but lower pole is functioning, no obstruction on diatic renal and potential for later unpredictable acute presentation, we can observe the patient for further management. So after observation, so that what are the common procedures we do if there is function is 0%, where less than 5% of the upper pole moiety is there with uterocele. So we can go for total reconstruction of the kidney. So that is upper pole nephrectomy with uterocele excision and reimplantation of the lower pole ureter is definitely procedure, but extensive operation is performed. 2 incisions are needed for the surgery. So ideal candidate, older children with a massive ureterocele and no function on the upper pole, a significant lower pole reflux is done in total reconstruction of the upper pole moiety. So what happens after this? Normally the upper pole nephrectomy or partially is done, open surgery or laparoscopically, and robotic, and laparoscopic endoscopy, single site surgery nephrectomy is also done nowadays. So results of ureterocele or surgery after surgery is resolution is in 20%, new reflex is seen in 15 to 50%, and second surgery rate needed for surgery is almost 50% of surgeries are done after surgery. So the procedural steps in upper pole nephrectomy includes, so normally the ureter will be present, dilated ureter will present behind the vessels. So we should hook the vessels properly and traction and completely dissect from the vessels. So what are the common means? We should be careful with the lower pole vessels anatomy. We should be very clear cut. We should clamp the vessels of the upper pole properly so that we can demarcate upper pole and lower pole. Then we can dissect the partial nephrectomy. And ureter is also seen clearly properly. So we should take out the upper ureter clearly, and we should go until the ureterocele is seen, or if it is a dilated maximum ureter is seen, then we can go up to the lower pole of the ureter, so that there will be only remnant ureter and where urinary stasis does not occur. So upper pole nephrectomy, after dissecting the upper pole, so it's rest of the cavity we can be closed with retroperitoneal fascia, or sorry, left over the fascia of the kidney, so that the prevent urinoma formation. And we should observe further continuously the lower pole any vascularity is lost or not in continuous doing surgery. When we come to the refluxing ureteric stump, so when we see there is 2 ureters are seen, what we can do is you can see that it's completely separate, difficult to separate distal 2 to 3 centimeters of upper pole ureter from the lower pole, because the common the vascular supplying the ureter will be in between the ureter, and there is a loss of there is a compromise of the vascular supply to the ureter. So we should be very careful while dissecting this one. And the lower pole ureter, if it is dilated, we can go for imbrication or tapering of the ureter, and common sheath reimplantation can be done. So one more thing is, here see, the outer pole of the ectopic is excised to the bladder level, and transfusing sutures obliterate its lumen, with care being taken not to injure the orthostatic so that vascular supply is not compromised. So this is the lower ureter dissection after the upper pole nephrectomy is done. So complications commonly we see after upper pole nephrectomy is loss of lower pole function, upper pole urinoma, IVC laceration, duodenal perforation, total nephrectomy, and peritoneal tests are common during this procedure. So lower tract retraction, so we can it's suitable for both ectopic ureter and erythrosil. So it advantages doing surgery is relieving obstruction as well as correcting reflux. And disadvantages, as I mentioned, is there is more common injury to the bladder, neck, vagina, and it is a very complex procedure to do. And clinically significant reflux persists after the procedures, and it may need further surgery. In what are the this is a ureterosil surgery. So what we do in secure ureteral surgery is um, we take a transverse incision of the ureterosil, separate it, and when we see the posterior ureterosil, we make an incision and separate from the bladder, proximal and distal. So when we go to the proximal level, we can see the other part of other ureter where should do separate both at a time so that vascularity is maintained. So distal leftover ureter should be gradually taken out, and posterior part of the detrusor muscle should be transfixed slowly so that weakness doesn't occur, and both ureters should be submucosal talon on the same side. So what the normal ectopic ureter will be on the medial side, normal ureter will be on the lateral side. So one more surgery is pyloureterostomy or uterouterostomy. When upper pole or of an ectopic ureter or ureterosil is preserved owing to function of or surgeon preference, because function is preserved in DMSA, we can see. So anastomosis occurs between the upper pole ureter and the lower pole ureter in an end-to-side fashion, and proximal distal approaches are used, and end-to-side fashion is also used. Sorry, end-to-side fashion. So proximal anastomosis is preferable to distal ureterostomy because with a dilated upper pole, because a later may result in a more urinary stasis and recurrent infection, and diverticulum might occur. So for uterosil, one more is transurethral incision. It's nothing but the transverse incision in the full thickness of uterosil while using cutting current and distally close to the bladder floor as possible. So what we commonly use bug electrode, angle tip wire, cold knife, resectoscope with hot knife and laser incision are used for incision. So deep incision to incise sequel should be done to see for urine jet or inner jet. Urine jet will be seen after uterosil incision. And ectopic ureter, long-term incision from the intravesical into the urethral position is done, and two incisions can be done for ectopic ureterosil. So normally after uteral incision, no catheter is required, and follow-up can be done after 4 to 6 weeks. Dosage degree of decompression, and MCVG is done 2 to 3 months to determine the status of lower pole reflux. So risk of reoperation is high with extravesical uterosil and lower pole reflux. So, so then one if so here is temporary end uterostomy for ectopic ureter is done with sepsis or massive dilatation is obstructive mega ureter. So advantage is acute decompression can be done to manage sepsis and permit assessment of later of any function of affected renal kidney before definitive management, as mentioned before all the surgeries. So this is a common management of ectopic ureters if it is in duplex system or single system. In duplex system is a this is summary of the ectopic ureters. Lower pole reflex is in lower pole reflex. Common sheath reimplantation of or royal pore reimplantation with distal upper to lower pore uterostomy, and if there is no reflex, proximal distal uterostomy is done. If it is massively dilated ureter, temporary uterostomy is done and plan for ureteric reimplantation. If it is single system ectopic ureter, preservation or excision is based on function or surgery preference is done. And overall uterosil management, as I mentioned, so these are the common things: transurethral incision, upper pole nephrectomy, uterostomy, uteropylostomy, and uteral excision and common sheath reimplantation done for uterosil management. This is summary. Thank you. Hello.
Dheeraj.
Ma'am.
Hello. Dheeraj. You have tried to cover extensively regarding everything regarding ureters, right?
Yes.
More of clinical management investigations. But the embryology and anatomy has been given lesser importance. Can you go back and please explain again the embryology in detail, little bit, whatever you know?
Ma'am, in Normally we can see the mesenteric duct, Wilforian duct. We can see the normal kidney can pronephron, metanephron, pronephron, mesonephron, metanephron. So mesonephron gives rise gradually decreases and metanephron comes, ma'am.
Hello, hello, Dheeraj.
Ma'am?
Any pictures you have? Any pictures?
No, ma'am. I didn't put any.
Clarify? Should have put, no, so that everybody will understand. Okay, what weeks it all happens in chronological events? Which weeks?
Ma'am, it's 4th week of gestation, ma'am.
4th week to?
4th week of gestation.
So you are given lesser importance to embryology and anatomy, right? More of clinical. So embryology is very important in genitourinary tract. If you would have put some pictures, would have been easy for you to demonstrate, to clarify. So from 4th week to?
12 weeks, ma'am.
That's all? You should have been more clear about embryology. That's what I have. I sent you an article also regarding that. There only I have explained. The more we concentrate on embryology and anatomy, we can clarify the most of these intervening anomalies. It helps in diagnosis and avoiding the morbidity. Do you have that article, Dheeraj, I sent?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, 1 second, ma'am. I'll share.
Yeah.
Ma'am, 1 second, ma'am. I'll just... Ma'am, this article, ma'am. Ma'am, it's a duplex anomaly in infant, challenges in its diagnosis and management.
Yeah. Show the pictures.
And this is yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll explain, Dheeraj. This was
Yes,
also a typical duplex anomaly, which was missed at birth. Okay, so in future, we had lot of issues to diagnose this, how to come to a diagnosis. In the meantime, the baby developed giant pelvis as well as the ureter. Whole abdomen was covered with the upper pole dilated moiety, so which was very difficult to diagnose. So with all the series of investigations, we came to a diagnosis, and then we went ahead with upper pole nephrectomy, which was also not easier to trace it. The upper pole was not traceable. So can you tell me the incision, how you want to proceed with upper pole nephrectomy, Dheeraj? What are your possible approaches for upper pole nephrectomy?
Ma'am, lobotomy approach in a transverse incision.
What?
Upper transverse, left transverse incision.
Like typical, we go for pyeloplasty.
Yes.
Same incision?
Yes, ma'am, same incision, ma'am.
That's what I did that mistake, because I have been taught that same incision we can get the upper pole. That is not. Okay, that's what the article is giving importance. So we have to approach dorsal lumbotomy. Forget about the pyeloplasty incision and go back. Okay, so it's easier to trace. That is by open method. Laparoscopically, is it easier to trace it?
Um, oh,
Right? Should be.
we can, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it should be easier to trace by laparoscopy. But of course, it is challenging. So this was a challenging, and it was unusual anatomy. And I tried to explain the embryology why it was so challenging to diagnose, because of the Charles membrane. You said defective resorption.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it was having dilated, sacculated ureter, which was not communicating with each other. So how do you explain this? So I try to explain by defective ureteric, whatever first initially, the ureter will be solidified on. So later it gets recanalized. Then again it gets canalized. So during this process, there is something defective resorption. So there is no connection between the saccules. So
Yes,
I try to explain it.
okay.
So these, why I am trying to tell you is that's what my conclusion is to if we as a clinicians focus on more on anatomy and embryology, it becomes easier for us to manage a patient. So so that's what you have given lesser importance to anatomy and embryology,
Yes,
embryopathology. So you said duplex. Is it
yes, ma'am.
always upper moiety, lower moiety? Can it have a variation? Upper moiety also can get varied, lower moiety,
And
or
bifid
it's only
pelvis,
standard?
bifid pelvis, ma'am. Partial duplication.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the whatever Vegard Mayer law, you show that picture, please. Is there any exception to this law?
Um,
It's not possible.
second. अच्छा, ma'am, meeting will end in 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a picture. Yeah. Hello.
Ma'am.
Huh. Dheeraj, any exception to this law, Vegard Mayer law? Or it's always like this?
Ma'am,
Not sure.
ma'am, rare, ma'am, but I don't know, ma'am.
Yeah. So see the upper pole, lower pole. This is the commonest anomaly we encounter. That's why they have described this. Okay, so the even the upper pole can have the variations. Like it can have 3 ureteric buds. Okay, like one ureteric bud branching into 3 to 4 that
Three.
we have seen recently. 3 from the upper moiety, 3 buds were there, all going into a single parenchyma. 3 separate ureters
Yes, ma'am.
opening into the upper moiety. Okay, so lower moiety also can have variations. So it's not that standard picture. What you see is always you get.
Yes, ma'am. Three and quadruple uterus also might be there, ma'am. Exception to
Yeah, yeah. Which are very rare. Which are very rare. We
rarely.
had 3, and the lower moiety had 2.
Okay.
Lower moiety had 2 ureters, 2 ureteric orifices. So all the interviewing anomalies can come. So if you understand this embryology, it becomes easier to follow. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's what my more concentration is. And extensively you have covered everything, okay, regarding ureters. That's a good attempt you have made. So
Yes,
anyone else has any questions, they can ask.
Sir Ramchandra sir, sir anything?
No, Dheeraj, I don't have anything to add. Thank you.
Yes.